us a little bit of insight around Chelsea's managerial search.
Yeah, I think no sooner had Liam Rosenior departed that names were starting to float around of possible candidates for the job, whether it was informed information or logic, and that would point to the likes of Andoni Iraola leaving Bournemouth at the end of this season, of Oliver Glasner leaving Crystal Palace, of Marco Silva, who is out of contract at Fulham at the end of this season with no news on a potential renewal. Other names like Felipe Luis, formerly of Flamengo and a previous Chelsea player. He's been in Europe speaking to European clubs, so that was another one in the mix. I think Chelsea had considered him previously for the Strasbourg job when Liam Rosenior left, but so too in that ether was Xabi Alonso, because he's available and he's very high level. Immediately, the sense that many of us got was if Chelsea could get somebody like this, it would be really impressive. And if we fast forward to now, now understanding is that Chelsea are exploring a deal for Xabi Alonso. It would appear that he is at the forefront of their thoughts right now. The information we have is that Xabi Alonso would be open to this possibility, though nothing is done yet. Iraola is definitely a strong contender in his own right. And it's interesting because they're represented by the same agency. So that's an element to this as well. And the process continues. I would expect, to hear news in the next days, weeks, obviously, as everybody knows, because Chelsea want to make an appointment as soon as they can. But it needs to be the right one, not a quick one, obviously, given what they've been through now. Many of us feel that they can't afford to get this wrong. After what happened with Rosenior, how it ended with Enzo Maresca, completely different cases. What's gone before with Pochettino and Graham Potter, etc., since the not so new ownership came to Stamford Bridge in 2022. But let's see if they can get this over the line with Alonso, because it really would be a fascinating appointment.
Really good point Keres makes, David. Is it about aura? Is it about having all those trophies in the background? Because is it too simplistic of us to say, yeah, he's won loads of trophies elsewhere, look at the vast experience, but realistically, it's about getting on with this set of players. If Enzo Maresca ends up taking over Pep Guardiola, he's not a trophy-laden coach, manager, going to a team that knows how to win trophies. But that is still a possibility for Manchester City.
Yeah, there are not many Pep Guardiolas out there, Luis Enrique's and so on, and every club that is having to make appointments now. If you can't get hold of those, the Thomas Tuchels of this world also, then you do have to take some risk and gamble, and you try and mitigate as far as possible, and that's what Manchester City will be doing if Maresca takes over should Pep Guardiola depart, and that's somebody they know extremely well from his time there before. Xabi Alonso, if he comes to Chelsea, to many of us that would be box office. It's not just his work at Leverkusen. He bided his time at Sociedad B. And didn't take the decision to leave there lightly. He was methodical, and he wasn't in a rush in his career, and he didn't need to be, given his playing success. And then Leverkusen was obviously fantastic. Real Madrid, and we'll come on to it for a number of reasons on both sides, him and the club, did not go well. But when you look at the options out there, and you may turn around and say, like saying Iraola, for example, might be a better coach in many people's minds than Xabi Alonso at this moment. Certainly he's Premier League ready. But just the magnitude of the achievements of Xabi Alonso so far in terms of Leverkusen, the magnitude of the club he's worked at and the dressing room he has been a part of at Real Madrid, even though it didn't go so well. I definitely think the playing achievements will command respect if he goes into Chelsea, which is a largely young and also quite a complicated dressing room. If you look at some of the public comments that have been made by the likes of Enzo Fernandez and Marc Cucurella, the tumultuous few years they've had in terms of different faces on the playing side, on the coaching and sporting side, and also at director and executive level, it's been a bit of a roller coaster there, and so you need a calming presence. I think Chelsea's criteria has been that they kind of wanted somebody that had either Premier League experience or big club experience in a coaching environment. He certainly has big club experience. He doesn't have he doesn't have Premier League managerial experience, but he does have Premier League playing experience. And so immediately when reports suggested that they were interested in Xabi Alonso, I did think it was potentially a really good fit of the few who you feel could try and get this moving in the right direction and could work well there. And many people sort of quite flippantly say, no coach will want to work there. That's just nonsense. Coaches want these jobs. Chelsea's a massive club. It's got a storied recent history in particular, in terms of trophy winning ability and expectations. And you know that somebody, as we've said with Manchester United and I don't know, previously with Arsenal some years ago, somebody's going to get this right. And there's nothing to say Xabi Alonso, his ability to work with young players and to develop them, his footballing ideas, his body of work today. Yeah, it's not perfect by any means, but I think there would be a lot of cause for optimism there. But absolutely, like we said at the start of this answer, that there is risk there, but that's pretty much the case everywhere. And there's so many more factors to this. How he would work with the sporting directors at Chelsea if he comes in, the ownership, the way that they go about their recruitment, and you know the huge change that they've had, which is ongoing. There's going to be more recruitment. It's going to have to be a very diligent process, this appointment, and it's really intriguing to see if they manage to get him, but that's only the first step. Then it's how it unfolds and whether they can learn from the mistakes that have been made to this point. And there have been some highs as well in terms of a couple of trophies won last summer and got back into the Champions League. There's some very good talent in that squad, but there's a lot that needs to improve, evidently.